This tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a CSV file in SwiftForth. I'm going to use this filebuff.f. So you can type this in and you'll be able to use this file right here, just filebuff.f. And it contains a few words that we can use to easily create text files or CSV files. So the words that it has is write, close, open, construct, and destroy. So it's pretty small compared to the other files that you see in SwiftForth. To get started using it, you're going to build the file or build the object. I'm just going to call it fout, but you can call it anything you want. You can call it file out. So we're going to build this, and once you build it, you have to construct it. So once you do these two steps, you're ready to use these words that are in the public part in this file. So now we can use write, close, and open. I'll just show you how to create a file. I'm going to put this in the public folder, and we'll just call this demo2.csv. And just type in fout open. So just like that, we created a CSV file. So I'll open that folder. And we've got our file ready. So you can see it's got 0 bytes, so there's nothing written to it. It's pretty easy to create a CSV file. I've got this snippet right here, and we're using this word s\quote. So to build this backslash allows you to build or insert things like new lines. So you can see right here, we're going to insert a new line. And I'll show you what this looks like in a few seconds, but we're just basically building a CSV file by hand. So I've got title, publisher, and year. So these are our headers. So we've got 3 columns right here, and it's going to be separated by a new line. So this is going to be our first record, separated by commas. And we've got another new line. So this is our second record, and that's the end of it. So if I hit enter, we just wrote to the CSV file. Anytime you open a file, you have to close it out. So just type in fout close, and we can open this and see what we have. And you can see this. Got our 2 records. So we got Jaws and Jurassic Park. So this is kind of how you would manually build a CSV file using the word, or using this word right here. So I'm going to show you how that word works. So this word is pretty handy to use. I'm just going to clear the screen, and this allows you to use new lines. So you can see we've got our new line characters right here. And if you wanted to do this manually, you would do something like this. Can't see that, but these are control characters. Anytime you're building a CSV file, you're going to be using these control characters, which, you know, you're not able to actually type them out on a keyboard. So that's why this word is pretty useful. And you do something like this, so output another line feed character. I believe this is used in Linux. And we can also output a 0. So that's why this word is really useful. It allows you to insert words that are not normally accessed by the keyboard, that are kind of hidden. And if you want to see how it works, you can always just type in locate, and the code will come up right there. So you can have a look at it. And these are other variations. So this will use a counted string. So in other words, you just type in something like this. That will create a counted string, and you just type in count and type. So let me actually see if I can dump this. Just type in for dump, and you can see at the beginning of this string there's a number, which is 3. So that's kind of what a counted string is the length is actually the first byte followed by the string. And right here you've got a 0 terminated string, and those are kind of the 3 most used. Whenever you're building these CSV files, you might want to consider using one of these. Now say you want to read the CSV file. You got these 2 words right here. Just going to copy and paste them in. And we can actually open, or we can import that CSV file and look at the hex dump. So what I'm going to do is just type in the folder path. And we just imported that. So what I can do is just duplicate two things on the top and just type in dump. So there we go. So this is actually another demo that I imported. So we'll do the correct one. We'll do demo 2. And if you get an error like that, usually it means you got to close out your file. So once that's closed out, you can probably run that again. Just going to duplicate that and dump it. So there we go. We've got our file imported. You can see we've got our new lines in there, comma separated. So this is going to be our delimiter. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And the last way to build a CSV file is I'm just going to clear the screen. We're going to use this word called buff. And I'm going to show you how this word works. It's pretty interesting. It's one of my favorite words to use. So anytime you use this word, you always want to have a closing buff at the end. And what we can do is we can just get the output of type, put it into a buffer, and we've got it right here. So this word is really handy for capturing any type of text output. So for example, there's a word called time and date. So let's say we want to actually capture the output of this and do something with it. You just type in date, or let's do time. So we've got the time in a buffer, and we can do whatever we want with this string. So for example, you can actually add something like PM. And you can see that we've just got this, we just edited this string on the fly. What I can do, we can just type in, something like hello, and we can use certain words like the periods, just outputs whatever's on the data stack to the console. So we can do things like that. Let's see, we've got our 1 and 2 right there. So we can format that. I can actually use the word space. And you can see it insert a space. We can do things like insert a new line using CR. So we got a new line at the end. You see that right there. And if you want to insert a new line manually, you can just type in 13 emit, 10 emit. So that will insert a new line. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. So that's why this is a really powerful word. And if you want to look at the code for it, you can just always type in locate. And you can read about it in this file called buffio.f. So to build a text file using these buff words, you can just do something like this. You got your first column, second column, new line, and then following a new line, you're going to have your first record. So something like John Smith, new line. This will be your second record. So Jane Doe. Type that out. And there you go. So you would just send this to a CSV file. And that's kind of the second way you can use to format this. And you can also put this in a Word. So I created a word called toCSV. So you can see we've got our beginning buffer and end, and then we've got this in between here. So it's kind of easier to see what's going on. And we can just type in toCSV. And it pretty much does the same thing. So this is kind of easier to see. If you have it spaced out right, it's easier to see what's going on than just kind of doing it all in one line like this. So there's multiple ways to kind of do this. If you want to append records to the CSV file, what you're going to do is open the CSV file and you're just going to start writing to it. So I've got something I wrote up here. So we'll just write this movie to it. And in this case, you have to be careful of this. So this is going to have a separation between the records, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. So I'm just going to write a few of these so you can see how to do this. After this, you want to close it, and we'll just open this back up. So you can see there's a separation in the records. That's because we put a new line at the end of this record, and we put a new line here. So there's two new lines, but it's easily fixed. So it's you have to keep track of how you insert these records, and it's just something you want to look out for. A while back, I did a video covering how to connect to SQL. So I'm going to show you how to take the SQL output and convert it to a CSV file using the buffer thing that we used before. So I'm just going to cover this pretty quickly. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in. And once you copy and paste these two lines in, you should have access to the demo. So you can see it says demo 1, demo 2. So I'm just going to run these real quick. So what this does is it connects to a SQLite database. So if you want to look at the SQLite demos, you can just go to this directory right here. And what you're connecting to is this library.db file. So if you're on Windows, you can open this library.db file using DB browser for SQLite. And it's got 4 tables. So you can have a look at those tables right here. Pretty simple. You go to browse data, and they've got authors, the authors table, the books table, and the publishers table. So if we go back to that folder, you can click on demos.f. And this is how you would, write your SQL commands. So for demo 1, all we're doing is selecting from the authors table, selecting a first name, and we're preparing a statement to search for this name. So we're just going to pull one record. Demo 2 is going to select, the title, name, publisher from the books, authors, and publishers tables. And you can see we can just kind of build our SQL commands like that. So I built a third demo, and all this demo does is just dump all the records from the authors table. So you can see how that's done. So I wrote a blank statement here because we're just doing a select star from the authors table, select all records. So if I go back to SwiftForth, just type in demo 3. See, it's just pulling all the records from the database. And the goal is to take this output and make it into a CSV format. So to transform it into a CSV file, we need to get the headers, so the title, publisher, and year. And we need to get the data. So down here is the main word, CSV format. We're going to set an endpoint. So I'm just kind of setting a 0 terminated string at the end of this file. I'm going to get the headers. We're going to output a new line. I'm going to start a loop, and we're going to get each row. So after we get a row, we're going to insert a new line, and we're just going to loop until we get to the end of the file. So that's pretty much all this is doing, is we're just, getting a word, and we're checking if we're at the end of the line. And if we are, we're just going to increment and advance our little pointer right here, and just keep on going. So I'm just going to copy and paste all this in. Go back to SwiftForth and just paste that in. So all we need to do, just type in CSV format. And we got an error because we didn't put it in a buffer or anything. So I'm just going to type in demo 3 buff, and then we can type in CSV format. So you can see it transformed it into something we would insert into a CSV file. And if you want to look at the code, you can just pause the video and go over it. So this is kind of how you would loop through things without changing any type of source code. So I know I could go back into demo.f and rewrite it all to where it's in a CSV format, but sometimes you don't want to do all that type of work. So in the future video, I'm going to show you how to convert this to JSON. I may have another example using a different database. I've actually got it written already. So keep a lookout for that one. So if you want me to paste this as a comment in the video, let me know. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think.